What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going through my predictions for Game Week 24 in the Premier League. Starting off with Nottingham Forest against Brighton. Forest very high flying, but did lose very badly last time out. Brighton have been very inconsistent this season. There's some games where they look really good, there's some games where they're absolutely awful. And against teams that are above them, they are okay, but they're also very bad against good defences that defend quite deep, and that's what Nottingham Forest do. Brighton just don't really have the shithousery to get through those sorts of teams. We saw it last week against Everton. They had one shot on target the whole game. And for that reason, I think Nottingham Forest are going to win 2-0. I think they have more than enough quality to hurt Brighton. They really don't have a big enough goal threat either, because without Danny Welbeck, they don't have enough up there. Pedro doesn't really turn up enough. Tome is a very hot and cold player. He's someone that they should have sold, in my opinion. And with Lewis Dunk at the back, they're always going to concede. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, despite getting smashed up, have been very good defensively so far this season. And obviously this game will show us a lot about their character, because you can't get humbled like that and not bounce back if you are going to be in a Champions League spot, especially when you consider that their next 4 games are against the 4 teams that beat them in the first half of the season. Forest do have enough about them to get into the Champions League, and I'm fully confident that they will win this game. Bournemouth against Liverpool. Bournemouth have been going through a horrible injury crisis, yet smashed up the 2 most informed teams in the country by an aggregate score of 9-1 over the last 2 games. They are still unbeaten on the road, but Bournemouth have got some fantastic results at home this season, beating Arsenal, beating Manchester City, and beating Spurs as well, even though they are a bit shit right now. Mohamed Salah has sort of cooled down a little bit. I know he scored last time, but he hasn't been his same firing self. And Kirk has been arguably the best left back in the league this season. And we've seen other players lock Mohamed Salah down lately. He could be another one, and I think he will do it, but I still think Liverpool get something, because Gakpo against Smith is a bit of a mismatch. Gakpo has been really good, although he's better at home, and although Smith has done quite well at right back so far, I just think he'll really struggle. I've gone with the 1-1 though. I think Bournemouth definitely have enough about them to get something here. I do want them to win, because I want the title race to be more entertaining, and I love seeing teams that you don't expect to be up there doing well. So hopefully Bournemouth can win, but Liverpool have looked too strong this season for me to predict them to lose this, especially when they haven't lost an away game so far this season. But Bournemouth are a team that are very capable of beating them. Everton against Leicester, a huge game in the relegation battle. If Everton were to win this, it'd be 3 on the bounce, and they would not really be under any relegation danger anymore. And it would also mean that they go into the Merseyside derby being really confident. Leicester had lost 7 in a row, were winless in 8, but then they went to Tottenham and won. If they were to win here, the second away game in a row, I mean, they might be looking up at Everton thinking, hang on, you ain't out of this yet, but we're going to get clear of the bottom 3. Hermansen is back in training for Leicester. Will he start? I don't know. I think it would be a bit hasty to throw him straight in. Stolarczyk has done a decent job, but obviously Hermansen is on another level. But Everton have some huge injury concerns of their own. They have only Beto fit as a striker, and he hasn't been very good. But Mangala has also picked up a really serious injury, and he's been really good this season. That'll be a big miss. Defensively, Everton are very strong. They're very poor on the other end of the pitch, and Leicester are okay in the top end of the pitch, but really poor defensively. So they're very opposite in that regard. With it being at Goodison Park, with the form Everton are in, I think they will just edge it. It could go either way though, man. I can see 1-0 Leicester, but I have gone 1-0 Everton. Just because they're at home, they've got the Merseyside derby coming up, they're in a good run of form. I think everything is there for them to get another win and maybe look up the table. Ipswich Town against Southampton, another crucial game at the bottom end of the table. 19th against 20th. Southampton are pretty much already relegated. Even if they win this, they're probably done. But they could drag Ipswich down with them. However, a win for Ipswich could see them leave the relegation zone. They are at home. They got a last-minute equaliser against Southampton at St Mary's when they were still under the stewardship of Russell Martin. Southampton have also lost 6 games in a row. There's really no hope for them. I think Ipswich will win 2-1. They kind of have to win. If they don't win this, they're done. I won't have any more belief in them. That Southampton defence is atrocious. Harwood Bellis always gives the ball away. Delap should have a field day, to be honest. Newcastle Fulham. Now, Newcastle lost in West London earlier in the season. Fulham put on a masterclass, but that was when Newcastle didn't really have the balance in their team right. You know, their midfield was nowhere near as good as it is right now. Tonali, I think, was still suspended at this point. But right now, Newcastle are on a fantastic run of form. They've won 10 out of their last 11. But Fulham are probably the most competitive team in every single game. There's not been one game this season where you've watched them and thought, well, they don't look good here at all. You know, even the games they've lost or they've drawn, most of the time, they are very much in those games. And they did dominate Newcastle early in the season, but Newcastle's record against Fulham is very good on the whole. And with the form they're in, you know, they have to win at St James's. They lost their last game here. They're not going to lose a second in a row. I've gone with a 3-1 Newcastle win. Isak's on fire, Tonali's in exceptional form, Lewis Hall's been brilliant as well. I think it will just be too much of the Fulham defence. Midfield battle will be very key though. It's going to be very interesting because both the midfielders have performed really well this season. But defensively, I don't think Fulham will be able to handle Alexander Isak. Wolves against Aston Villa, a West Midlands derby. You know, it's not the most serious derby in the world, but it is the only derby these two have in the Premier League. Villa have not won any of their last 6 games after a European night. Their last win came against Wolves earlier in the season, and I think they're going to do it again. I've gone 2-1 Villa. Wolves are on a really bad run of form right now. They've lost 4 in a row. They're winless in 5. Aston Villa are unbeaten in 5 in the Premier League. Wolves have drawn 3 of them. But they've also lost John Duran, which is going to be huge. You know, there's going to be a lot of fatigue because a lot of their main players did have to play the full 90 against Celtic just to make sure they got through. Wolves absolutely could get something from here and probably should be aiming to get something here, but I just think Villa are too strong and they will have Wolves' number in this game. Come on, you villains, please. First London derby, Brentford against Tottenham. Tottenham on a horrible run in the Premier League. They've only won 1 out of their last 11 games. And Postecoglou has to take an even bigger share of the blame now because the kids proved that they were good enough. You know, against Elfsborg, the main first team players weren't doing anything. Kids come on and they win 3-0. I know more was done from the start, but the other two, they haven't even got a chance, and barely any of the kids have got a chance in this horrible injury crisis. And Tottenham have one of the best academies in the world. So Postecoglou, you are a fraud. I don't care, man. He's arguably right now the worst manager in the league. 1 win in 11 is not good enough. But Brentford have lost 4 out of their last 5 home games in all competitions, including losing to Plymouth Argyle, who have not won an away game in the Championship this season. Dragusin is now injured for Tottenham, but Mickey van der Ven is back, which is huge. And this is a bit of a biased prediction, but I've gone 2-1 Tottenham. I'm sorry, I don't care. I can't predict Brentford to win this. If Heung-min Son plays like he did against Elfsborg, like he plays with a bit more confidence, you know, if some of the kids get more of a chance, Tottenham will win this. If Postecoglou continues to be stubborn and doesn't change his tactics, parks on the halfway line, despite the fact that Mbama and Bissar are 2 of the most dangerous transition plays in the world, Sharda as well, and Damsgaard feeding them, with Lewis Potter running in behind as well, making runs from deep, it could be a bit shaky, I can't lie. Brentford could win 4-0, but I'm going to back the Spurs. Manchester United against Crystal Palace. Actually, not on a good little run of form, to be fair. They've won their last 3 games in all competitions, 2 of them were in the Europa League. They beat London opposition last time. Crystal Palace are on a good away run of form though. They haven't lost in the last 7 away games, but they will be without a Bereyeze. However, Ramanesa did score with his first Premier League touch, so he could come in to start play on the left. And they could still be okay, especially because Manchester United will probably be quite tired considering that they just had to go and play in Europe. United at home as well have been really poor this season, and I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here just because I don't trust Manchester United to get the job done. Both these sides have had similar sort of stories this season. Like defensively, they're both decent. Like, you know, don't concede too many goals, but they don't score enough, and that is strange, especially with Palace. To be fair, Eze, Mateta up there, they're very good players. But Man United, Rasmus Højlund has been atrocious. Garnacho, very good when he comes off the bench, but not good enough when he's starting. Diallo's been their only real shining light this season from a forward standpoint. Arsenal against Manchester City. Now, at the start of the season, this fixture would have looked like a title-deciding game, but Manchester City have been really poor, although they have sort of started clawing a bit of form back together now. Arsenal won 1-0 at the Emirates last season, and I think they're going to win 1-0 again. They were very, very unlucky not to win at the Etihad. We 2-1 up in the 97th minute, despite having 10 men for the whole second half. They were so unlucky not to win that, man. The season could have been so different had they done that. Kusanov is going to be huge in this game, but, you know, like, he can't do everything on his own. The midfield is not good enough. I don't know why they haven't gone and bought a midfielder. Marmoush, brilliant signing, didn't really need him. They needed a midfielder. And Arsenal will be too defensively compact, I think. They won't allow Manchester City to have enough space. Foden's going to ghost as he usually does. Erling Haaland will get bullied by Saliba and Gabriel. And finally, the second London derby, Chelsea against West Ham United, as Graham Potter returns to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have only got 1 win in the last 7 Premier League games, which is atrocious, especially considering they haven't really played anyone too difficult in that time. Like, you know, obviously I know they played Bournemouth, who are fantastic, but on paper, you would have expected Chelsea to win the majority of those games. And since Potter has come in at West Ham, they've looked so much more like an actual football team. There's a bit of structure about them, and they know how to create some chances. The defensive line looks much more organised, despite the fact that they've got 1 fit centre-back and no fit attacking players, with the exception of Kudus. That's mad, do you know what I mean? And he's picked up points against Fulham and Aston Villa, which is not bad at all from Potter. Somerville and Bowen could both return for this game. Probably won't start, but if it's 1-1 or even 1-0 to Chelsea, I can't lie, I'm backing West Ham to get the job done here. I've won 2-1. I think both of them will come off the bench and have huge impacts. I just trust the structure that Graham Potter's got West Ham playing in. And Chelsea are too reliant on Cole Palmer still. He had a really bad day against Manchester City last time out, and after 10 minutes, Chelsea created nothing. Maresca's also given him a really bad role. For some reason, he's playing in the left half space when he's much better in the right half space or in a more free role, where he can, drift out wherever he needs to be to get the ball. And at the end of the day, I know Chelsea don't want to be Cole Palmer FC, but when he's your best player by a significant distance, everything will run through him, and that's fine. You don't see Slot complaining about Mohamed Salah running the show for most weeks because he's their best player, and that's how games are decided. It was like how Chelsea were under Eden Hazard. You give the ball to your best player, you give them the best role, and you let them do things. So I don't know why Maresca's trying to limit Palmer so much, but at the end of the day, I'm all for it. Anything to see Chelsea suffer. As I'm predicting this week, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you soon in another video.